Hi, my name is Charlie.
And I'm Erin.
And we are digital skills tutors here at JC Explore. We're here with Polly from Sweet Tree, and we are going to be talking about some of the incredible assistive technology that we have on offer here at Explore, about how it can help all different kinds of people despite any kind of concerns when it comes to technology, and just how it can make technology just that bit easier and more accessible to increase independence and comfort using devices.
We've got two locations, so Charlie's based at Amélie House in Golders Green and I'm based in Sandringham and Stanmore, and that's where you can come and see us. So we have people come in, drop in to ask questions, and we can also do home visits as well if you're not able to get to us.
If you are a member with us, you also get access to our peer-to-peer discussion groups, which run on a monthly basis where we discuss all things technology, about how to access it, and all different topics to do with using devices and also making it easier to use. So I'll start on this side of the table, just talk to you a little bit about what we've got. So on this bit of the table here, you can see we've got an iPad set up. And next to it, I've got two switches. So this is a single button switch, and this is a Bluetooth connected dual button switch, which can be programmed to do different functions. So to actually use a single button switch on an iPad, you don't actually need any additional software. So pretty much all tablets come with switch support. So you can get a switch, connect it either with a wire or through Bluetooth if it's that kind of switch. And if you have any kind of physical impairment, maybe arthritis, maybe cerebral palsy, limited movement, you can actually operate an entire tablet with just the touch of a button. So for example, if I wanted to open, say, the App Store, if I press the button to start scanning, there is a scan that runs through the screen. So I know I want the apps, I press it there. And again, it's scanning through. So when it gets to the App Store, I can press it and I want to tap it. So I wait until tap is highlighted, and then I wait till it's highlighted again, and it will open the App Store without the need for any typing, any advanced dexterity. So you can operate the entire tablet just through one button. It takes practice, but it increases independence, and it means that anybody can use their device. We also sometimes recommend Bluetooth keyboards. So we've got a couple of examples here. There's not any key differences between these two. They're just two options. And they're really good. Again, you might not think it, but if someone's got dexterity problems using their device, the keys are really small. And on a touch screen, it's not tactile. So it could also help if there is a visual impairment and someone needs to type and they're used to typing on an actual keyboard, not so much on a screen. These can be really helpful for somebody like that who just, again, wants that independence back.
Right, and if they need a bigger keyboard, they can just use, you can have another larger keyboard as well.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, we've actually got a Big Keys keyboard here, much like the name suggests. It's a keyboard with big keys. So there's actually a few things on here that make it so accessible. First of all, the fact that the keys are big in the first place. Second of all, the fact that the colours actually denote the type of key it is. For example, the blue keys are function keys, the orange keys are punctuation keys, red are numbers, green are consonants, and purple are vowels. The other thing which you might not immediately think about is the fact that this keyboard in particular, the letters are written in Comic Sans, which is actually scientifically the best font for dyslexia. Also, if there is any kind of physical impairment, again, arthritis, sometimes trying to precisely tap tiny keys can be really difficult. And again, visual impairments, the letters are bigger. These come in different colourways, so you can get yellow letters on a black background, black letters on a yellow background, which again is good for any kind of cognitive impairment. So this device is actually made by the RNIB.
Okay.
So I believe that stands for the Royal Institute
For the Blind.
So this is actually a T sensor. So the way this works is you would hook it over the rim of your mug and you would fill the hot water up and it will buzz when it reaches those two long pins.
Right.
Then when, you want to add your milk, because we're all Brits, we like milk in our tea, you add your milk and you'll see there's a slightly shorter pin and when it reaches that point,
it's a cooler liquid.
Exactly,
How
and when it
clever.
reaches that point, when you add enough milk, that will vibrate as well.
Very clever.
So it increases both independence and safety for somebody who is visually impaired.
Right. That's great.
And also it's got magnets on the back, so you can pop it on your fridge as well.
Yeah.
Moving down the table, I'll show you something that is helpful for actually navigating the computer. So basically mouse alternatives. So we've got two here. This one is a joystick, and this one is a rollerball. So I'll start with the joystick. This is really good for any kind of physical impairment. So if there's limited mobility, arthritis, so any pain when it comes to navigating a computer, because using a mouse can be quite demanding physically. This uses a joystick to move the cursor around on screen. There are also various buttons that have different functions. These functions can be programmed to functions that you choose. And the guard on top of here is also very handy because it stops you accidentally hitting those keys if you're leaning on it for support or stability. And also the actual joystick itself is quite heavy. So it means it's not accidentally going to be jostled out of the way and moved out of the way. Right. Also on the joystick, the tops can be swapped out. So it can be swapped for a T shape, which can be easier to grab and move around if that is something that would be easier for someone. Moving on to the rollerball. So this looks a little bit more like a traditional mouse in the sense that it's got buttons on either side. But the rollerball, a bit like the joystick, doesn't require much dexterity to move around. It's very responsive, it's tactile, you can feel the vibrations as it's moving around. And again, these buttons can be programmed, so by default, it'd be left click and right click, but they could be programmed differently if you'd like. It's also quite heavy, so it won't slide all over the place if you're leaning on it, which again is really good if you've got limited mobility and is not as demanding on the wrists or joints in the finger to navigate the computer.
Can I just ask, do you have a facility where the person wanting to use their laptop or their pad can actually use a verbal command rather than a mouse if they're not able to use a mouse?
Yeah, so there's a lot of inbuilt native programming like that. So, for example, the iPad and Android both have inbuilt voice control. Windows 11 also has an inbuilt voice control. There is one in Windows 10 as well. It's not quite as good. The Windows 11 one is better, but it is there. I'd imagine that's possible on a Mac as well, if it's possible on the iPad and the iPhone. Also, on top of voice control, some devices also have support for eye control. So they are starting to come out with devices with native eye control built in.
That's very good for people with motor neuron.
Really good. And basically any physical impairment where even if you need a rest, because these things don't necessarily need to be used non-stop, you can switch out whatever makes it easier for you. But yeah, eye control is starting to be rolled out. At the moment you can get cameras, and a lot of Windows computers and Macs have support for eye control, but it is being rolled out, hopefully coming more regularly, natively built into devices. But yeah, voice control, eye control, all of that is definitely available.
Yeah.
So we also have these two nifty little devices. So these are reader pens. So this one here is the Orcam. This is a top of the range one. This is pretty expensive. And this is a C pen, which is much less expensive. So I'll start with the C pen. So reader pens in general are good for anyone with a visual impairment, anyone who likes to read, anyone who needs to read anything. So this one is used like a highlighter. So it's got some sensors at the tip of it here, and you basically run it across the page like a highlighter, and it will read out the highlighted text for you. It's also worth mentioning it works best on typeface. So if it's typed out, that's going to be better. Things like newspapers and books. And the way the Orcam works is it's got a camera on the end of it. So the reason this one is more expensive is it actually takes a picture of what you're trying to read. That could be a full page, and it will read the full page out to you. So you basically touch a button on the top, it takes a picture, and it's got also audible feedback. It takes a little snapshot sound, and it starts reading out what you've taken a photo of.
How can somebody in the community access this actual equipment? Do they have to rent it or buy it? Or
So when it comes to renting any kind of accessible equipment, it's worth going through the local authority. Some local authorities do have programs where you can rent certain accessible equipment like MedEquip, but they can also be purchased privately, obviously at a higher price. So both of these reader pens can be purchased yourself. I think the C pen is a couple of hundred. The Orcam is much more. I think it's in the realm of a couple of thousand. But for life-saving equipment, it can be worth it for something like that.
yeah, we have a lot of clients with macular degeneration who
Yeah.
can no longer read.
Yeah. I have some
They
clients with
have
macular
enough
as
vision
well.
to see where the book is or where the page is,
Yeah.
but they actually can't read it anymore, which is so sad. So that's actually fantastic.
The next thing I'd like to talk about is a talking tile. So it's quite a little unassuming piece of kit, but actually it's really, really good, especially for cognitive impairment. So things like dementia. So these are literally just little buttons with a speaker on, and you can record messages into them. So for example, if you've got a relative who often, even when it's really cold and dark out, goes out without a coat and a scarf, you can put a little message on the front because they've got a little clear window where you can basically write a little message. So what I've written there at the moment, for the sake of demonstration, is just what the talking tile does. But it could say, Grandma, press this if it's dark and cold outside. And you can record your message. So you'll say, if it's cold outside, make sure you bring a coat, a scarf, and an umbrella. That was on recording mode. If I then switch it to play mode, and then let you press the button. If it's cold outside, make sure you bring a coat, a scarf, and an umbrella. So it's really handy. It actually also has pins on the back, or holes on the back, so that you can actually hang it on a wall. And while this...
So you could hang it by a front door.
You could hang it by a front door.
What to take. Have you got your keys with you?
Exactly. And also, they do make versions with PIR sensors. Those are infrared sensors. So if it catches movement going by the front door, it can say, if you're going out, make sure you bring your keys and your phone. And it just triggers when you walk past that sensor, and all it senses is that movement. So it's still complete independence, and it's not constant surveillance, but it's just that little bit more safety and guarantee that your relative or friend will be safe.
Very clever.
You could also incorporate one of these devices next to a smart speaker, which is something I'll get to in a minute, that has an instruction. So for example, it could say, press this if you want to know the time. And you can actually program using a skill, a smart speaker, like an Alexa, which I'm going to say quietly because we have one. And instead of you speaking to it, it will ask the question to the speaker, and the speaker will say, it's this time, make sure you take your medication at this time, and it's about 3 hours before you're going to be going to bed. So everything is personalisable, if you will, and it allows people to just have that memory aid when they need it.
So you can program it to have multiple instructions through the day.
The actual talking tiles, you'd need multiple, but they are a very accessible price. I believe you can get a pack of 6 of them for about £50.
So you could have them in at strategic places around the home.
Yeah.
As a visual reminder for the client as well.
Yeah, and they're all different colours. So people can form that association by colour as well.
Yeah. Orange one by the bed.
Exactly.
Right,
Yeah.
clever.
So next, I would like to talk about smart devices, because smart devices are invaluable to everyone, but also specifically to people with cognitive impairment, things like that. So there are the kind of basic speakers. So this is a Amazon Alexa, and this one here is a Google Home. Those two work basically the same. They're just speakers. You speak to them, give them instruction, and they carry out that instruction. For example, you can ask Alexa, what time is it? and it will tell you what time it is. There are skills that you can program into it. So those are kind of little programs that do that extra task. You can also program in automations. So you could program the Alexa so that at 7 p.m. every single day, it tells someone that they need to take their medication. And if they are within hearing range of that device, that will remind them. You can have multiple of these dotted throughout the home, and they can form their own little network. So every single one could say the same thing at the same time. So no matter where you are in the home, you could hear that instruction. So the screen is really good for kind of any kind of visuals. So for example, if you play music through it, it will show the cover of the album, which can be a good memory aid into remembering favourite music. It can display recipes. It can also, for someone with a visual impairment, tell them what something is. So if you hold a product up to it, if it's in Amazon's database, you can say, "What am I holding?" and it will tell you what you're holding, which is really cool. A really useful feature that the Echo has as well is something called drop-in. So if you've got multiple devices on the same network, even in different households, with the person's permission, if you basically say to the device, drop in to whatever the name of the device is, it will establish a camera feed connection between those two. So family members can check in with other family members.
So if I had a son called Simon, I could say to the Echo, "Call Simon."
Or drop in on Simon.
Drop in on Simon, and it would dial him, and I could see his face.
It's less like a dial. It drops in. They don't need to, they don't necessarily need to answer. Essentially, every device has a name. So if this one is called Office, I could say drop into Office. So you can make calls through it, and someone would need to answer, but they would need to be able to answer. The drop-ins basically exist without the need to answer. So it could be that little bit easier. So next I will move on to this. Now, a lot of people have seen what these are before. I think you said you know what this is. This is a VR headset. So you might think, what role does a VR headset play in accessible tech? But unfortunately, we live in a world where a lot of people cannot leave their homes. They have places they would like to go, places they would like to reminisce about, and they can't. So what you can actually do with a VR headset is load videos into it that are immersive. So if a location is recorded using a 360 camera and somebody is wearing this headset, they can look around that place and it's like they're there. So for example, we've got recordings of Camden Market. We had someone go to Dubai and take some footage in Dubai, and we've actually also got a tea party where the people on camera speak to you. And that's really good for anyone who just needs that feeling of freedom, of going outside and looking around and interacting with the world around them.
So if someone becomes housebound and they miss going to their favourite park, you could upload video footage of their favourite park and they can look around it as if they're in it.
Exactly.
That's wonderful.
And actually what you can do is, depending how the 360 camera is held, it can actually be recorded as if you are walking with someone. So I could be holding the 360 camera and saying, look at the lake, Mum, look at the ducks and things like that. So it's just that bit of freedom where they might not necessarily be able to go out. And if someone says, I really miss, that shop that I used to go to, because obviously people with dementia are forgetting things, but those things they remember, we want them to hold on to those. So you can take footage in those places and show them, like, look, it's still here, like, look around, and they can reminisce. And it's enrichment, and it's basically joy. It gives them, that bit of joy to look around and experience the world around them.
So how do you use this virtual reality headset?
So for someone using it, as I said, for looking around, enrichment, they would only need to worry about wearing the headset.
Okay.
The actual video would be operated by somebody else, or they could operate it themselves if they feel confident doing so, but it can be operated by whoever is holding these controls. These are just the controllers. There's two of them. They're used to bring up the video, close the video, like any other kind of games controller.
Okay.
Okay, so this last device that I'm going to show off today, though there are so many others, is a accessible landline phone. So this is very good for visual impairment and also cognitive impairment, dementia, things like that. So the buttons on the actual phone are very large. They are also tactile buttons, so they sit above the base plate of the phone. And they're also a light text on a dark background. You can also see above there are 3 slots for pictures. These are not just for show, they are buttons. So if you've got 3 contacts that you consistently want to speak to, maybe it's children, maybe it's a neighbour, you can program them to call those people, put a picture of that person there. They just press that button and it calls them straight away.
That's great. Yeah. I think they're very popular. A lot of clients use them.
Yeah.
Very successfully.
Yeah, there's a reason for it. They're really, really good memory aids.
Takes away the stress of trying to A, find the telephone number, and B, work out how you dial it.
Exactly.
Yeah.